This is the Horse Radio Network.
This is episode 537 of the Dressage Radio Show, official podcast of the United States Dressage Federation on the Horse Radio Network, brought to you by Kentucky Performance Products and TotalSaddleFit.com. Tonight we will bring you a discussion on how Pilates can improve your riding with Janice Dulak, and then Karen Isberg is coming on with her adult amateur journey. For our Total Saddle Fit tip, we will explain to you how to get your bronze medal.
This is Reese Koppler-Stanfield from Georgetown, Kentucky.
And this is Philip Parks from Rockwood, Ontario, and you're listening to the Dressage Radio Show.
Phil, what are you up to this week? You've got a lot going on.
Well, we have a symposium clinic going on this week with through Dressage Canada, and they have been gracious enough to host Robert Dover up here. So I've got a horse that I entered or submitted for the for a symposium, and he was selected, and now I just took him over to the site there where we could ride around and sort of get familiarized with all of the stuff, riding in the ring with there's tables set all around it, and he's like, so I'm really looking forward to it, getting this horse some more exposure. He's a 6-year-old who did really well this summer riding the FEI 6-year-old tests. So he's kind of been a little bit of a superstar, and that which means that he gets to go on and do more things and get more exposure. So that's really fun, but also a little bit nerve-wracking. And bring him and do a good job and get something out of it. And getting Robert's help is awesome. So
quite a few people that are going to come, right?
Yeah, well, it's so what Dressage Canada has done is used the money collected as a levy for people who, everybody who enters a show pays a levy to Dressage Canada, which means that anyone who is paid into this levy gets to come cost-free, right? Or already paid cost. So I think there's, a lot of people going to come and going to learn. I hope my horse is a good demo horse for, helping, people learning and some good stuff. So, that's what we've been up to. So all, this week he's, trying to get him ready and trying to get him a little bit exposed to noises and, all this kind of thing.
Sure. So there'll be quite a few people there tomorrow or this weekend.
Yeah. I don't know how many, but it's
not to make you nervous.
It's busy over there. Yeah. Yeah. And then Saturday, Sunday, Ingrid Klimka, is coming over. She's hosting a clinic right after. So there's a lot of horses going around. This is, busy in the barns today, so sort of an exciting atmosphere because there's going to be a whole lot of learning going all weekend. And lots of people traveling from, all over Ontario and Quebec and, coming to check it out. So
fantastic.
Yeah.
I'm excited. I can't wait to hear all about it, and for you to share how he does. I know he's going to be a superstar.
Let's hope so.
Yeah, it'll be good. And then today also I had my coach in. We did a clinic here at the farm with Scott Hassler, and I've been training with Scott a long time now, and it was really, really fun to have him come in. And it was literally like he came in at 8 and he left at 2:30, and it was a quick in and out.
A whirlwind.
It was a whirlwind. I was like, did that actually happen? But it was really fun, and my horses were super today. And it was a good, just kind of, this is your homework for what you need to work on for about 6 weeks before we leave for Florida, which is crazy that we're leaving for Florida pretty soon. And then he also helped get my 2 horses ready for nationals. That was really good. So we both are running on dressage empty tonight. Excited though to be here with everybody and to share what we're learning. We have a great show tonight, and we're going to start with our first guest, Janice Dulak, and she's going to talk about Pilates for dressage, and we hope you enjoy it. Well, this evening, I am very excited to have Janice Dulak, the creator of Pilates for Dressage. She's also a USDF bronze medalist. Janice, welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
Well, I'm really happy. We met a couple weeks ago. You were here in Kentucky, and we met through a mutual friend. And once we started chatting, I said, "Oh my goodness, I saw you at the USDF convention, and I listened to your lectures, and really knew I needed you, honestly, for my riding." So, Janice, tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do with Pilates for dressage.
Well, I started as a professional dancer. But my first love was horses. So I was, when I got my first horse, I was so excited to ride, and I thought I would just trail ride. Well, it wasn't going to happen. It was a thoroughbred mare off the track. You don't trail ride with those horses.
Not so much.
So I thought I would jump. Well, the horse wouldn't jump. And somebody asked, well, you should do dressage. And I'm like, draw what? I didn't even know what it was. So I got a book.
Horses, right?
Dancing with horses, exactly.
Yes.
So I thought, okay, this is perfect. So I got this book, and I'm like, okay, I can put her shoulders here and her hips here, and I can, So I thought I was doing dressage until I had my first lesson, and I realized my horse wasn't even on the bit. I had told her I could do shoulder in, haunches in. My horse wasn't even on the bridle. I knew nothing. So that set me about going, okay, well, I'm a movement person. I can do this. Well, several years later, when I'm still posting the trot, I can't sit the trot. And I had great teachers, don't get me wrong. But when you tell a dancer to use their leg, it doesn't make any sense, right? A dancer, like where, what, how, up in front and back, inward, outward, or to the calf, side. So all of a sudden, I just thought, wait a second, there's a language missing. We need a translator between the dressage instructor and the rider. And so as a Pilates teacher, I realized that the Pilates vocabulary could speak to me and speak to riders on how to use a leg or how to use a seat. So that's kind of where it all began. Okay, well, first of all, I have to tell you that I hate working out. True confession of a Pilates. I just hate working out. So this isn't a workout. This is about using specific Pilates exercises to train the body in the biomechanical movement needed. For example, if you can learn to walk correctly with your hips and your, I don't like to say core, with your spine, with your seat, then you should be able to walk trot canter and do sitting trot. So my process is I get people on the ground and I show them some simple movements. Simple, not easy, right? Where they find, oh, my hip works like that. Yeah, your hip works like that. So then we do a series of exercises. This is how you use your abdomen. Oh my goodness, like that. You have to use your abs like that. And then, for example, right now, both of you, I hope you haven't eaten dinner. Pull your belly button to your backbone. Everybody can do this right now.
Yes.
Pull your belly button to your backbone.
We should be sitting in a chair, right?
You can be sitting in a chair. You can be standing up. You can be lying down. You can be in bed. Pull your belly button towards your backbone. And exhale and let your stomach go deeper into your spine. And when you do that, you're going to find your back relaxes. And that's exactly also what a horse has to do when they lift their back. They have to use their abdominal muscles to come up and over their back. So I teach riders first. That's just a simple thing. And everybody can do that. When I drive down, when I drive to work, when I drive my horses to Florida, I'm pulling my belly button to my, are you okay there? Are you okay? You still have your belly button in?
Doing great. I had dinner though. I'm not going to lie. I had dinner. So it was maybe a bad life
That's
choice.
A little hard.
Yeah, but it's right. I'm good.
Yeah, so it's a real simple thing everybody can do. It will help stretch their back out. It will strengthen their core abdominal muscle. And when you ride, this is the other piece. So I teach people that if you sit on a horse like you sit on a couch, you're basically dead weight. You know how much, like if a cat falls asleep on your lap, they weigh like 1,000 pounds. So because there's no energy in the body. So I teach riders that they actually have to carry themselves, and it starts with engaging the abdominal muscles and finding out how to mobilize their hips. And then, so we do that usually in a clinic. We'll do that in maybe a 2-hour mat class. Okay. We're not like exercising. We're exploring for 2 hours what your tendencies are. Oh, you could use that muscle. You can pull your stomach in more. You can find the back of your hip. And then from there, when you understand it off the horse, then we put it on the horse. And so then when you get people mounted, and then we go, okay, remember when you were lying on your side and you took your leg to the back? That's the open hip we're looking for. So we just have this, we develop a vocabulary in the mat work, and then we put it on the horse. And we can change people's positions in a heartbeat. And the coolest thing, and I never, ever, ever realized this for a long time, because I'm mostly a body person, right? I'm a dressage rider second. I'm an aspiring dressage rider. But what I'm not a trainer. So what I work with trainers, and they were going, oh my gosh, look what happened to the horse. So now I can see the effect, like immediately when the person gets it right, you see the horse getting it right. The horse relaxes, comes over their back, starts to use their abdominals, comes softer in the bridle. It's really it's cool.
So Janice, I have a personal question, because this is something that has come up in my life as I've gotten a little bit older as a rider. And I think generally a lot of riders have hip trouble, but I must have had a bit of a hip injury about a year ago, and I went to the doctor and got my hip injected. And but I know for sure the more stretching I do, the better my hip is, but it's still generally a problem kind of on a daily basis. And I have a feeling I'm not the only one listening to this program and have that problem. So what are some things that I could do for that?
Okay, Reese, so that is really common. And the reason it's common is because our hips are generally, well, you have a problem because you had a hip injury, but a lot of people, well, we've fallen off horses countless times, but maybe we don't have a real injury. But what it usually is a muscular imbalance in the hips. And most hips are pretty uneducated. If you think about how a dancer has to use their legs and hips, we do every range of motion there is possible with the hip. Riders, not so much. They sort of are like pedestrians, most people. We walk, we sit down, we stand up. And we rarely walk sideways or backwards. I mean, it's just not done. But as a dancer, you educate your hips. So the hip, we do walk sideways, we do go backwards, we do circumduction. Our leg can go in a circle. And the training of the hip is what I find really important for riders, because most riders are stuck in what's called hip flexion. And that's when your trainer yells, open your hips. Can you open your hip angle? And you're going, what do you mean? And so what happens is most people's hips are stuck in what's called flexion. Flexion means that the hip joint in the front is more closed. The thigh wants to, if you've ever lost your stirrup riding, you know what hip flexion is. It's your knee comes up towards your pelvis. So there's a muscle there called the iliopsoas. It's your major flexor of the hip. And in general, I've been teaching Pilates for 30 years. In general, I find even everybody's, not just riders, your hips are tight and you like to be in hip flexion. The iliopsoas, the hip flexor is really, really tight. And that's where stretching comes in, and it helps. However, I teach in my work how to elongate that muscle, not just stretch it. It's a difference between having a horse on a bridle or just letting him loose and flop and just go down. So you have to teach them to use positive tension to create stretch in their body. And that's the same thing. So I teach people, Pilates is beautiful for this. We teach people how to hold the origin and insertion of this muscle called the iliopsoas and gently lengthen it. So I don't like to stretch hips. I like to lengthen hips. I like to lengthen the hip flexor. And in doing so, most people can get out of pain. So probably what your experience is, well, some trauma, right? And there might be some scar tissue, and that's great for a PT to address. But if it's just that your hip is still wanting to be at a closed hip angle, you need to learn how to use the Pilates. We call it the powerhouse, which is your abdominals and glutes. And those muscles will help to open the hip. Once you get the hip joint a little more mobile and educated a little bit more, so it has more movement and freedom, generally hip and back pain goes away.
That sounds extremely, extremely helpful. From listening to you, Janice, it's about isolating, different problem areas, not just an area, but specific muscles that you have to teach how to, because I think sitting on a horse and riding a horse is very unnatural to 90% of people, right? It's just some of us were really fortunate enough to be able to be sort of born into horses. Like both my parents were riders. I was on a horse very early in my life. So sometimes as a trainer, that's a little bit difficult to understand, when you're teaching a rider that doesn't know how to isolate a certain muscle, or it's very unnatural. So is that what you're finding in your practice? And is this what we're talking about here?
Yeah, and absolutely. So, for example, as a dancer, I was fit. I was really fit. I still couldn't ride a horse. So not necessarily going to the gym and working out or running is going to change the way you use your body. So in Pilates for dressage, we teach you exactly to isolate and activate muscles so there are two kinds of muscle groups in your body. And you have just generally speaking, your mobilizers and stabilizers. So your mobilizers, is what everybody uses every day. And that's why you grew up riding. You grew up knowing how to stabilize, because when you ride, we have to access our stabilizers. And those are the Pilates muscles that help teach people. Those are the muscles that stabilize your body, that Pilates teaches people how to access stabilizers. It's completely not natural. It feels completely wrong. But once you get, I don't have to brace in my back and in my hips when I can, and those are my mobilizers, right? Those are the muscles that are going to, make me run from a tiger. So when I get into the stabilizers and when I can get people into the stabilizers, that's when the harmony begins with the horses. So these are muscle groups that you don't normally recruit. Pilates is basically dressage for humans. So
I
it's
love
kind of
that.
cool that way.
Yeah, I love that idea. That's fantastic. That's really good. So Janice, you actually have several books published by Trafalgar Square and some DVDs, right? Where people can kind of get a little bit more idea of what your program is, correct?
Absolutely. My first book was published in 2006, and then DVDs followed in 2008 and then again in 2010. Since then, I've created an online course, which is called Ridermanship, and I call it Ridermanship because it's for all riders, not just dressage riders. It's for all riders, and it's a 6-month study online with me, and this is what I teach you. Because the other piece is, just as a horse, you start them out at training level and they do a 20-meter circle. Well, then at first level, that 20-meter circle is going to look a little different. The engagement's going to be more. When you get to second level, they'll still do 20-meter circles, but now the engagement's even more. And that's what Pilates teaches people, how to engage in their body. And it takes some time to create that change. So a great way, if you're a visual learner, my DVDs are great. I have Pilates for the dressage rider and the 9 Essentials, which kind of spot trains the body. But if you like to read, my book is great. It introduces all of my theories and concepts, and it helps you to kind of troubleshoot in your body what's going on and why you have pain. And then the online course just takes kind of all of that and puts it into a 6-month study. And going back to hip pain release, I had an osteopath who's a rider take my course, and the osteopath had hip pain all of her life. And she's an osteopath. And in 3 months, her hip pain went away. And I was just astounded because I know I can help people if they come to my studio and I can put my hands on them and kind of show them which muscles they need to use and which muscles they don't. They need to let go of. And so I was really thrilled that the online course can be that powerful.
Well, that's great, Janice. Thank you for giving us all of your, all the information. And, I think I encourage people to go out and get the book, because if you can better identify as a rider, you can better identify, kind of problem areas and work on them off the horse, then, you can talk about it when you're with your trainer, and they can help you as well. And I think it's just a great benefit to all of us, as we work on our positions and we struggle to make better harmony with our horses. So thanks so much for coming on tonight, and we will talk to you soon.
All right. Thank you so much for having me.
Right after this short break from Kentucky Performance Products, we actually have President of Kentucky Performance Products, Karen Isberg, doing her adult amateur interview about with her horse Oreo, and we hope you enjoy.
He was her first love, the one that started it all. He taught her how to master the posting trot and navigate her first hunter course. They spent hours together exploring the trails and hanging out in the barn. His name was doodled on every page in her school notebook. His coat gleamed in the sun as he met her at the gate each day, snuffling for a treat. From the first time she saw him poking his head out of the stall to the last time she patted him goodbye, he was, and always will be, her everything. This love story is brought to you by Nalox Advanced, providing complete support for a healthy digestive tract, which reduces the risk of colic and digestive upset. The horse that matters to you matters to Kentucky Performance Products. Call 859-873-2974 or visit kppusa.com to order today.
Well, we are really happy to have Karen Isberg on her monthly Oreo cookie adult amateur segment. Karen, welcome back to the show.
Oh, thank you, Reese. It's always good to be here.
Well, just so can we kind of fill everybody in if they haven't been listening, Karen has been bringing us along on her journey with her horse Oreo this year as she's been training and getting ready for just learning and training and getting ready for a horse show whenever we decide to do one, probably in Florida, right, Karen?
Yes, I think that's when we'll take off and start showing. Woo!
I know. So we've had a great month, and actually the last 2 days have been really fantastic. So do you kind of want to fill us in about what you and Oreo have been doing?
Well, I will. So I think when we left off last, you had stolen my stirrups, and I was making great gains in sitting properly in the saddle, which was wonderful because with my hunter jumper background, I was a little perched, and you were having a hard time getting me to sit down. So taking my stirrups away I had no stirrup summer, which I actually enjoyed. I know I'm strange, but it was good. So, and that really helped. That really helped my seat. It was amazing. So then what we decided, if I'm going to go on a horse show, I have to learn how to ride with stirrups. So we kind of put the stirrups back on and started to see what we had. And I have to say, I was a little frustrated in the beginning because the minute my feet went back in the stirrups, I got crooked again. And I was just like, oh, you've got to be kidding me. This is just crazy. What is causing that? And I think you realized that I was a little frustrated with all of that because,
sure,
I couldn't get there. But I think, between the two of us, we kind of figured out that it's my right side that I get crooked on, that I wasn't keeping my leg back underneath my shoulder and my hip properly at the knee. And then if I was able to do that and keep my hip straight instead of letting my right hip slide forward, then that kept me in the right position. Mm-hmm. And that seems to have really helped to this point. I think I can keep my stirrups. I'm able to keep my feet in the stirrups better and not lose my stirrup as often. And I'm able to use my leg more effectively than I was before. So I think I'm really excited because I think we overcame that. We at least figured out the problem.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So I think that's a good point. I was just going to jump in here and say, I've been teaching a lot of lessons, and in one of my lessons, either this week or last week, I had to remind my rider that yes, we want a long leg, but we don't want a straight leg. And a lot of riders are trying to undo the natural bend of the knee and bringing your heel back underneath you. And maybe that's what was happening with you. And so I think that's a really, really common problem. Because as dressage riders, we tend to want to have our stirrup maybe one hole too long and feel like we're really, having a really long leg, and which tends to have riders sort of straightening their leg too much and losing the power of having a little bit of a kneeling position and having your leg underneath you and drawing a little bit of power, from the hamstring muscle and being able to press on the horse inwards toward the horse, but also a little bit, back and underneath you. So you're using the stronger part of your leg a little bit more. So, maybe that's a tip that we can bring to our listeners.
Yeah, it really made a big difference with me because my leg was coming forward and that was causing me to twist. So once I got my leg back, and then again, if your leg's forward, you're not using it properly on the horse. So yeah, I would say that's definitely worth exploring if you're having issues keeping your foot in the stirrup or not being able to use your leg correctly. Because that's what it was with me. So.
It was. And the other thing for us, like we have one of those home horses, which is one of those, it's like a stand, right, Karen, that you sit on. How do you scream it? And you can work on your seat off the horse. And Karen spent quite a bit of time working on that just in the past bit of time. And that has really helped as well. And if there's ever something where we need to sort of stop and look at that actually I didn't believe in it as much, but now I actually really believe in it. And how
it's great. It really, it's like sitting on, how can I explain it? It's a half round ball with a post coming out of it, and it rotates around. And so what the idea is to rotate your hips to move the horse around, and it really loosens up your hips and teaches you to move your back. Yeah, that was really helpful in loosening this hip up, because that has helped me too, loosening that hip up and getting it stretched.
Reese, maybe we can get a picture of this. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, we can take a picture of it tomorrow. Yeah. I'll tell you when Karen has her lesson tomorrow. We'll take it, and it's very helpful. And especially when we transition back to the saddle, that was actually kind of an interesting transition. That was really hard because Karen was really riding beautifully without stirrups and perfect leg position. But as soon as we put her back with the stirrups, it did change the angle of her hip and it changed how she had to go. So a little bit it was just figuring out what she needed to do to bring her leg back. And that was actually more, a lot of ways, self-discovery. Wouldn't you say, Karen? Like you were just out in the ring and when she rides by herself on the weekends, she really figured out, like, I got to put my leg here and keep it here. In the last couple of days, you've been able to keep it back, but we've really been able to work on some technical things, which was really great and really helpful to kind of, like, it's not always your fault. That's kind of what we started today. Your position's pretty good. And in this case now, Oreo hasn't been as responsive and he kind of tunes Karen out a little bit. And now he's lazy. and she's sitting really quite well now. So a little bit has been, hey, it's not all you, now you have to kind of make sure now he's really paying attention and he's listening, because like all good souls, for a while he would kind of listen, but he would also kind of do his job. But now Karen's really riding and she's a lot stronger. So it's made a big difference. So just this time to really focus on position has, and being effective has really helped Karen in general. It's been really cool to watch.
Well, yeah, and it feels great. I mean, the last few days, like, it's just been like, wow, oh my gosh, you get off the horse and you're like, wow, it really got him going. And really, I felt like he was bending when I asked him to, and our transitions were getting better. And it just made such a difference to be able to feel that. Now, it's really hard for me to keep that right leg on, and I have to really work hard. It takes a lot of concentration and muscle to keep it there. And I think that'll get easier over time, but absolutely. And Reese had to get after me because I'm too nice to him. I'm his mother and I'm too nice to him. And she's like, you need to get after him a little bit, because he does. He's just like, oh, Mom's up there. Oh, we can just trot slow now.
Yeah, well, it's about, about setting a little bit of a strict standard, right? What quality of walk, trot, canter, do you expect of the horse? And does he, reach those expectations? Does he maintain those expectations? Or does he fall a little bit behind your leg when you're feeling a little bit tired, right? That's
absolutely
part of the learning process for both rider and horse. And just returning to your leg a little bit. I mean, I was always telling riders that, a good position has to start from your feet and work its way up. You have to have a really good lower half to be able to ride with a really balanced and a really strong upper half. So I think, start from the ground up and work your way. Make sure the stirrups feel good, that your foot position is good, that you're not putting too much weight on the ball of your feet, and work your way through your ankle, through your knee and up into your hip. And the better you can get from there, the rest will start to click into place. But it's really hard to fix an upper body position or worry about contact, worry about your elbows and your hands if the lower half is not there, providing a really balanced base for you to work from. So really,
boy, and that's really the truth, because when I put the stirrups back on, that became really, really apparent. That leg drifting forward and twisting was just really throwing me off balance, and it didn't matter how I sat, I was just crooked. So yeah, that's great advice. That's certainly what we found with me, for sure.
Yeah, it's very, 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 very common.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
All these issues that sort of creep in, and the kids don't have so much struggle, but all of us, older riders with a little bit of issues with I have a knee problem. Reese has one too, and a lower back issue, and it's just, we have to fight it. We have to do as much as we can to get straight and get strong and get square, and really help our horses to do their job.
Yeah,
that's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's just the struggle as riders in general. So, but it's fun to see Karen has really spent a lot of time this summer on her position, and she's getting so much stronger. And now she's really able to really ride. The last couple of days, it's not been like sitting up there kind of going in circles. Like, there's been actual riding, and it's been really fun to watch. So I can't wait, Karen.
Well, it's been fun to notice that, lots of things that you've been telling me all along, okay, this is his stiff side, and on his stiff side, you have to keep him bending with your inside leg, and you have to support. So now I can see when I take my inside leg off, he just inverts. He just goes the other way. I mean, I put it back on, and then he bends again, and then to his hollow side, if I don't support with my outside leg, then I get that drift. And so now all those things you've been telling me, I can actually make a difference sitting up on the horse. I can make that change. I can make that happen. So it's like a real aha moment when that starts happening. You're like, wait, I can affect this. That is so cool. Because before I couldn't. I was too crooked. I was too weak. I couldn't do it. So to me, I mean, that's way more fun for me even than going to a horse show or anything. It's like, oh, this is so cool. It works.
Yeah. Using your body to get control, right?
That's amazing. It's amazing.
It's really fun.
Yeah, it is really fun. So I think I said to Reese one day, I was like, oh, now I understand how these upper levels get these horses to do these things. Because before I was like, how do they do that? I mean, how? Yeah. But, I'm starting to get it now. It's like, well, I may actually be able to do someday.
It's really fun. It's really fun to watch. Well, Karen, thank you so much for your time tonight. And if anybody has any questions about your journey or any of the products at Kentucky Performance Products, how can they get in touch with you?
Well, they can we have a Facebook page that I monitor pretty much all the time. So they can go there and they can send me a private message. They can call me at my office. I'm there from 8 to 5, Monday through Fridays, Eastern Standard Time. And that's 859-873-2974. And you can always email me. And if you go to our website, kppusa.com, my email address is there. So feel free to, any supplement questions or nutrition questions that we can help you with, or if you just want to talk horse, I'm always available. I'm happy to do so.
Well, thanks, Karen, and keep up the good work for next month.
Thanks, Reese.
Well, Phil, we were just talking at the beginning of the show on how busy this week is going to be for us riding and how much I love my stability stirrup leathers. I'm not going to lie, I did several extended extended trots with Big Mike today, getting ready for third level championships at nationals. Not going to lie, very happy I had those stirrups. How about you today?
Well, I am going to be demoing the Stretch Tech shoulder relief girth, and I know my horse loves it because he's got giant shoulders, and this girth helps him to move better and helps my saddle to stay stable, so that I'm not going to be bouncing around whole lot over. He's this horse is like 17.2 and a bit. I think he's grown a bit in the last couple of years, and I think he might be even 17.3 now. So I need a girth that's going to hold that saddle in place, and he needs to be able to move that giant shoulder for his extensions. And I think the products from Total Saddle Fit really help us maintain our harmony and get us in sync to be able to show off our great stuff.
Well, we can't wait to hear, and we really always thank Justin at Total Saddle Fit, and check out their website, www.totalsaddlefit.com, and they really have fantastic products, and we use them literally every day, and we're happy that we can share them with you. And Phil, we have a great Total Saddle Fit tip of the week from Christina Wright from USDF about getting a bronze medal, and I will say, several people come to me every year like, how do I get a bronze medal? And so we hope that this really helps because it is a complicated process, and Christina Wright at USDF is always happy to help. But we hope this is a little bit of a 101 to getting your bronze medal, and we hope this kind of helps clear some things up.
So can you get us started? If your goal is to get a bronze medal from USDF, first of all, what is the bronze medal and how do you start to get it? So I'll let you take it away.
Okay. Well, the bronze medal is one of USDF's many rider awards. It's a rider award that is presented to the rider. So the rider is required to have either a USDF group membership or a USDF participating membership. The bronze medal requires scores at first, second, and third level. Those scores must be 60% or higher, and they must be from a USEF, USDF recognized competition. The scores at first level must be from 2 different judges and 2 different rides. And the scores at second level is the same thing, 2 different judges and 2 different rides, and your scores at third level must be from 2 different judges and 2 different rides. Once the rider has obtained those scores, the rider can apply for his or her bronze medal on the USDF website. The medal is then, there's a couple options. USDF very much likes to award the medals at the USDF Awards Banquet, which is held at the annual convention each year. However, if the rider doesn't attend the USDF Awards Banquet, then USDF will ship the medal to the rider at the end of the year. One question we do get quite a bit is there a particular test requirement? And the answer is no. So it's not required that the first, second, and third level test level, it's not required that the first, second, and third tests be at any particular test.
So you can do first one, second one, third one, but you have to do
correct.
60% at each of the levels.
Right.
So even more basic, to enter a horse show, right? The horse has to be registered with USDF and USEF. The rider has to be registered, right, with either a group member or a participating member for USDF and USEF, right? That's no. Important to know. Okay. Explain that, because that's confusing.
Sure. So for this USDF award, it's an award for the rider. So the requirement is that the rider needs to have a USDF group membership or a USDF participating membership. There is no membership requirement for the owner. However, if the owner is a non-member, then non-member fees may apply. The horse, depending on what type of competition it's at, would need either a USDF HID or lifetime registration unless it's competing at a competition that's exempt. There are no USEF membership requirements. However, since it's a USEF recognized competition, USEF rules would apply, which would be that if the rider doesn't have a USEF membership, they would have to pay a show pass fee.
Okay, so you can do it without becoming an EF member and taking Safe Sport and all the requirements, but you would have to look at the cost, right? I don't even know what those costs would be. Okay, that clears it up. So you don't actually have to, but you would have to fill out what is needed for the competition.
Correct. Yeah, you'd have to meet minimum competition eligibility requirements, as we stated.
Okay, that makes sense because that is confusing for everybody. So that makes sense. Excellent. So and basically, once you enter, it's a lifetime award, right? So you don't have to do it within a year. You have as long as you want, right, to do it?
That's correct. Yep, you have as long as you want. Some people will crank those scores out in a very short period of time, and then there's others that will take many years, and that's fine as long as the rider has their membership at the time that the scores are earned. There's no problem with that.
Fantastic. And you could earn it in one weekend, but not with the same horse, right? So
correct, because the same horse could not do more than 2 consecutive levels. That's correct.
Right. Because
so
that's a question I get. Can you do it one weekend? You need
that's
2 horses.
Possible.
You would need 2 horses if you were going to do it one weekend.
I mean, I guess technically, if it was one show on Saturday and one show on Sunday, and I guess if you did show 1 first and second level, and then show 2, you did third level, 2 different shows. Probably not likely, but
probably
that
not
would be possible.
That would be really hard, but maybe possible. Yeah, but you can't show first level and third level in the same competition with the same horse. That you
Correct.
can't do.
Exactly. Correct. Yep. That's correct.
Fantastic. Well, anything else that we've forgotten about the bronze medal? Because it's once you get it, it's not that complicated, but sometimes the memberships can get a little complicated, and people can always call you guys in the office, right? Which is what I usually do if I'm confused.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. We highly recommend that, people give us a call or an email just to make sure that, they're understanding the requirements correctly. The only other important thing that might be important to note is that the deadline to apply for your rider award for the current year is September 30th.
Okay, that makes sense.
So just so that we can then get the medals all organized and everything ready for the awards banquet. So if you apply after that, there is a short period of time where you can pay a late fee, but generally, if you apply after that, your application is going to be accepted as long as you've met the requirements, but it's just going to be awarded for the next year.
Got it. And so let's say you've gotten your scores. What do you do? Mm-hmm. There is a process right after you get your scores.
Yep. So after you get your scores, you can go to the USDF website, and under the awards tab, there's a rider award application. And it's pretty simple. We just ask for some basic information. And then once we receive the application, we will verify the scores based on what we have in our database. So it's not necessary anymore to submit individual scores or copies of test sheets.
Yeah, that was old school. I do remember having to do that. But there's the internet now, so it's magical. You don't have to do that. So, Well, fantastic. Well, Christina, if we have listeners that are listening and have questions, how can they reach you online?
Well, a good way to reach me is competitions, my email address, which is competitions@usdf.org. That would probably be the best way to reach out to me, and or information is on the website regarding contacting USDF too about awards related questions.
Fantastic. Well, thanks, Christina, and we look forward to seeing you handing out all those fun medals at the awards banquet in Savannah.
Well, Phil, as always, we love email and Facebook shout outs. We love everyone who's sending us their goals. It really, really warms my heart. It is that time of the year where we're all reaching goals and working hard, and it's a good time to kind of celebrate everyone's what they're doing. So we're happy.
It's good to look back and reflect on some of the successes, or even just some of the things that you've worked through that are getting better. They don't have to be perfect or complete, but it's good to just reflect and give a little pat pat yourselves on the back, and hopefully all of our shows and our tips and our things are helping the riders out there. That's what we're trying to do with this show, is to give you things to work on or to think about, and hopefully we're helping you guys out.
Yep. And we love when we get these shout outs. So keep them coming, and we'll keep bringing them on the air as we get them. And as always, you can find our show notes and links to today's guests on our website, dressageradio.com. Like us on Facebook, just search Dressage Radio Show. Follow us on Twitter at Horse Radio. My website is maplecrestfarmky.com. You can always reach me by email, which is reese@horseradionetwork.com.
I think the best way to find me is probably on Facebook, or my email is philip@horseradionetwork.com. I'd like to thank our sponsors for allowing us to put on a show. And don't forget to check out all the other shows on the Horse Radio Network at horseradionetwork.com.
And as always, keep your heels down and your shoulders back. And we look forward to talking with you next week.